God's a love that's divine, yours and it's mine like the sun.
This is Awake, Awake by Hafiz. It does not have to be forever, right now. One step upon the sky's soft skirt would be enough. Awake a while. Just one true moment of love will last for days. Rest all your elaborate plans and tactics for knowing the beloved. For they are just frozen spring buds far, so far from summer's divine gold. Awake, my dear. Be kind to your sleeping heart. Take it out into the vast fields of light and let it breathe. Say, love, give me back my wings. Lift me nearer. Say to the sun and the moon, say to our dear friend, I will take you up now, beloved, on that wonderful dance you promised. So our lesson today is titled, Embracing the Beloved. There's a story that I like, and maybe you've heard it before, about a little girl in a classroom, and the teacher had given them some free time to draw. And this little girl, as you can see her, she's diligently focused on drawing. And the teacher comes up to her and says, honey, what are you drawing? And she says, I'm drawing God. And the teacher says, but dear, nobody knows what God looks like. And she says, yeah, but they will when I'm done. Last week, Isaac and Micah were here, and they spoke for a moment in our service, and then they did a workshop afterwards, set song, and I really had a fabulous time. You know, one of the things I love about Unity, and we sometimes forget this, and that is that we embrace all traditions, right? Charles and Myrtle Fillmore pulled wisdom from all different traditions, from Buddhism, from Taoism, from Hinduism, from Judaism, from Christianity, and a lot of our terminology that they chose to identify the principles, the spiritual ideas were Christian principles. But I think sometimes we forget that these principles that we study come from many different traditions. And I kind of consider myself a spiritual explorer. I love to look at different traditions and sort of embrace, the ideas and the concepts that come from different spiritual paths. Because we do believe that all paths lead to God, yes? And I believe that that's true. We just individually resonate with different paths. And so it's really fun for me to embrace different ideas. And Isaac and Micah last week presented an idea in the little workshop that we have that some of us struggled with, and part of me went, really? And that idea was that we don't get to make any choices. And I thought, how can that be? In Unity, we teach so much, and we call our philosophy often practical spirituality, yes? Because we teach practical tools that can help us take responsibility for our lives and to make choices, right? It's so much about making choices. So I really worked with this idea and prayed on this idea and meditated on this idea, and I'm going to share with you in a moment what I came up with. Because I thought it was so interesting that nothing that they spoke about Sunday was opposed to what I believe. But they used different terminology to discuss the same principles that we believe. And so it was quite fun for me. I just loved, thinking about it and being with it. And I have to say, I experienced something. I saw them on Thursday night, and of course they were here on Sunday. And I experienced something that I loved. And that was, I had a tremendous sense of peace after being in their presence. And I think it's because, if I could put words to it, I'm not even sure that I can, but it's because they emulated what they taught. They were totally present in the moment and unreactive to people's inquisitive minds who didn't understand some of the things that they talked about. And I thought it was so provocative, and so I had to speak some more about it with you today. I believe that God is universal mind, divine mind. All of that is God. I believe that everything in the universe, every speck of material, atoms, whatever, non-space, every bit of it is God. That God is everywhere present in the universe. Everywhere. There is no place where God is not. I think it's kind of fun that we as human beings, and perhaps all spiritual paths, are always trying to define what God is. And I think it's fun just to say, God is everything. Yeah, there is nothing that is not God. For example, air is what we breathe. Air is everywhere on the planet. Unless we make a conscious effort for it not to be, but it's pretty much everywhere. And there's good air, there's bad air, there's fragrant, beautiful air, and there's stinky air. Yeah? And regardless, it's all air. And in a sense, spirit, God, is the same thing, except it's even larger because it's everywhere in the universe. So, one person does not have a mind, and another person have a separate mind. In the strictest sense of the word, each of us is consciousness in the big mind, the capital M mind. We all have access and use ideas that originate in the one mind, in the capital M mind. Ram Dass says it this way: there is only one of us, one consciousness manifesting into different forms. So we all are expressions of God. We all have, as we say in unity, the spark of divinity within us, and we're all part of the one mind. And maybe this will clarify it even more. This is what Charles and Cora Fillmore say in their book, Teach Us to Pray. And you might say, wait a minute, Charles was married to Myrtle Fillmore. Well, if you don't know, after Myrtle died, Myrtle was older than Charles, and after Myrtle died, Charles married Cora. And that's a whole nother story. But this is what they say in their book. We have no independent mind. There is only universal mind, but we have consciousness in that mind. We have control over that consciousness. So we have control over our thoughts, and our thoughts fill our consciousness. So we have consciousness within our own consciousness, understand? And yet we are part of the larger whole of divine mind, of God mind. So, on the way home after being with them on Sunday, with Isaac and Micah, I was really trying to, how do you put this in unity terms? How can I find a way to explain to myself what they were saying when they said we don't have any choices? And so this is what I realized. I realized that when I am totally in the presence, and when I am totally in that space of the beloved, I don't have any choice but to act in love. And so I believe that they were talking about being in that place and operating choice from that purest place where the only thing to do is to act out of love. So I'm excited about that experience and what I had, and I'm hoping that you can experience some of what I experienced. And I'm going to lead you in a process in a couple minutes, and I'm hoping that you can get into that space that I was able to get in the meditation I'm going to lead in just a few moments with some of the processes that Isaac and Micah shared with us. So all of this led me to think, how do I connect with God? What do I do? How can I, and maybe it's not even about doing, how can I be in that place where I can embrace the beloved? And how do I follow divine guidance? How do I be in that? How do I follow that guidance? And the third question I ask myself is, how do I know that the inspiration that I receive is from Spirit? And the last one is pretty easy for me because it's always about love. Any response that we get from the divine mind or any choice that we have is always about responding in love. So in considering all of this, I think it's important to look at what does unity basically believe. And this is the first of our 5 basic principles. One of the things I like about unity is we have lots of freedom as to what we can believe. Unity Worldwide Ministries takes the stand that basically we believe in 5 principles. And so I just want to look at the first one today, which is there is only one presence and one power active as the universe and in my life. God the good. And that's it. That's our first basic principle. That God is good without opposite. There is no opposite to God. God is omnipotent, meaning God is all-powerful. And again, we're talking about this presence that is throughout the universe. God is omniscient, which is all wisdom, that the presence of God embraces, has all of the wisdom literally in the universe. And God is omnipresent. God is everywhere, in everything. God is the very vibration that is everywhere. And so it's impossible to be separate from God. We can sometimes feel like we're separate. Yes, anybody ever felt like, I feel really separate from God right now? And that's not because you are separate from God. Feeling and being are 2 different things. We can feel separate because we can feel lonely, or we can feel powerless, or we can feel ill, and it can seem like we're separate from God, but the truth of it is God is always present, always in us, always expressing as us, always available to us. And another thing that I think is really interesting and that I believe is that every desire that we have is to experience more God. Every desire, unequivocally. Everything we long for, desire, is at the very basics a desire to experience more God. We desire love. We desire to be one with God. We desire to be more powerful. We desire to be with God, to have that presence of God. We desire to be more creative. In truth, we're desiring to experience more God in a creative way. God is creation. God is creative. All of these things are accessible to us when we connect with this presence that is within us. Rumi said, I once had 1,000 desires, but in my one desire to know you, all else melted away. Everything that we desire is to know the beloved, to be closer to the beloved, to be closer to God, to be closer to Spirit, to experience more love. So I'm going to take you on a journey, on exercise, and I invite you not to close your eyes. This is often how we begin this exercise, a meditation, but I'm going to invite you to start with your eyes open. This is a picture of what's on the wall in the Peace Chapel at Unity Village. It's a beautiful room, and it's not real big, and there's 6 chairs in there, and it faces a beautiful mural on the wall, and this is what it says. And so this is something I hope that you can experience, and so I invite you just to have your eyes open, and whether it's to look at that or not. But as you are having your eyes open, to focus your attention on not looking. Just imagine that your eyes are receiving light. Your eyes are certainly seeing, but I invite you to see from a place of not judging or defining. And again, this is most effective with your eyes open because I want you to try this concept. It's easy to do this with your eyes closed, but I don't think as effective because I want you to practice just being present. So just being present with your eyes open, seeing, but not thinking. Not defining. Not trying to describe. Just practice that for a moment. Let your gaze be soft. Maybe to look in the way that you might look into a fireplace. Just sitting in front, looking, but not seeing. Now I invite you to close your eyes. And imagine that you can take that journey from your head to your heart. And if thoughts come to you, to gently recognize them as thoughts and just kind of push them aside. Perhaps you can focus on occupying the space next to the words. Occupying the space in your heart. Allow yourself to feel love. Allow yourself to fall in love. Allow yourself to embrace the beloved. The beloved is the presence of God, is Spirit, His divine mind. And perhaps for this exercise, you can use the word beloved. Embrace the beloved. Imagine that you are embraced by this loving presence. Know that the universe is embracing you, holding you, loving you. In a moment, I will pause and give you a short time to embrace the beloved. And I invite you to use this term as a mantra, to repeat it softly to yourself. And if your mind starts to think and wonder and dream, and just bring it back. And just embrace the beloved. So let's take a moment or two in the silence. as you dissolve into love. You're not thinking about love. You're just being love. Radiating like the sun. I will whisper secrets in your ear. Just nod and be silent. In this place with the beloved, you may receive guidance or inspiration. And you'll know, because these divine ideas will be embraced in love and peace. They will embody you with insurmountable energy, phenomenal love, power, inspiration. And the beloved says, come back. Remember where I am. I am here. I am with you always. I love you always. For I am you. And I invite you to begin to bring your awareness back to this moment, to become aware of the light above your eyelids, breathing, loving. And then to open your eyes whenever you're ready. Rumi said, open your arms if you want the beloved's embrace. As I embrace the beloved, I am one with my truth, and I act with love. I thought it would be kind of fun to end with a bit of wisdom from George Burns. He said, of all the movies I've made, the only one that ever had me worried was the one that turned out to be my biggest hit. Oh God. The minute I accepted the role, I started to panic. Should I be the one to play God? We're both about the same age. But we grew up in different neighborhoods. What kind of voice should I use? I was confused. So I looked up and hollered, how do you play God? There was no answer. The closer we got to the starting date, the more nervous I got. Then one night, I realized that no matter what, I couldn't be criticized because nobody's ever seen him. So who would know if I played him right or wrong? That changed my whole attitude. I couldn't wait to get going. The week before shooting, I rehearsed day and night. I got so into the role that one night when I said my prayers, I realized I was talking to myself. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, of truth, of light, and of peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one. When one transforms oneself, we are transforming the whole universe. Open your arms if you want. You can finish it. Embrace the beloved. Namaste.
Where